So, Monica, you're from the Behavioral Health Solutions.
Yes.
And is this it's a nonprofit, ¿verdad? Tell me a little bit about it.
So we've been in existence since 1991. So we've been here a long time. Our name has changed. We were the Rio Grande Valley Council, and then we switched over to Behavioral Health Solutions some time back. It's been, I think, since 2016. And really what we do is we provide services at no cost to individuals and families. We work with adults, we work with youth, and all of it is focused on either preventing the onset of substance use or mental health, because many people don't, like when you hear mental health, you think it's a severe like disorder, or you think
like bipolarism and stuff like that.
Yeah. And there's a lot
depression.
that happens. Yeah. And there's a lot that happens to where there's individuals that like biochemistry, like their brain chemistry needs a mental health medication. The same with substance use. You don't know what genes you've inherited. And so for some, just one sip of alcohol spirals into an addiction.
Yeah.
Same with marijuana and with any other substance that you can think of. You don't know how your body is going to take that substance. It could be
how it will react.
Yes, because it could be a chemical it's been needing. And so then what happens is your brain focuses in on just get me that, just get that, you see that. And so with mental health, there are individuals who struggle that don't meet a diagnosis. And so what we do is we provide services that will help people identify where they're at and then learn coping skills that will help them manage.
So this behavioral health solutions, is it like, say somebody's struggling with addiction, with drugs already, say they're doing cocaine, alcohol, marijuana, pills, they're eligible to be able to go there and detox and go through some sort of program? Or is it, because I know when I went to rehab, they had the 12-step program. So you start with step 1, 2, and admitting, so is that the type of
So on our end, we connect to the inpatient and detox care that already exists. We look for placement based on the person's needs. So there is a screening that that anyone coming in that says, hey, like I know I have a problem and I want to get help. So we start with a screening to see where they're at. Are they at a level where they need detox, where they need longer term inpatient care? And then it's figuring out the financial. So they don't have to figure it out on their own. We support that. We have participants that are in our recovery support programs. And so not all of them have gotten to the point where they've been able to reach recovery. They're aiming for it. And so most end up with most have a problem with multiple substances. And so it's some look at it as a scaling down. And so our recovery coaches are trained, they're certified. And it's something where they've lived through this. And so they're able to give that peer perspective and also help them focus in and know, okay, like they ready them for treatment. Because treatment, some go through it, it doesn't work, and they think it's not ever going to work for me.
Yeah.
And so what a recovery coach will do is they'll help them understand where they're at, help them connect to the resources and encourage them and keep encouraging them. And also, like if you have a lapse or a relapse, that they have someone that they can talk to. And so what we do is we connect. If we don't have the service, because ours is focused on outpatient and recovery support for those that are actively using and want to stop, then we meet you where you're at. So the old school thinking of like you have to be abstaining from everything to get care doesn't work. So for us, we let's look at where you're at and let's try and get you what your goal is.
To like weaning them off instead of just like abruptly going cold turkey, or is that?
Exactly. For some, that is what's going to yield long-term results. For others, they're able to quit cold turkey, and that works for them.
And the way you wean them off is like by giving them some type of medication, or because I remember when I went to rehab, which was 18 years ago. Well, the first time I went, which was 20 years ago, there was quite a few people that had cocaine dependency and alcohol. And then the second time I went, I had to go back, right? Everybody was on pills. And I remember they used to give them they used to call them peanut butter balls or something. But it was some sort of pill that was giving them, because the detoxing from the pills, the prescription medication was so painful that they needed to, get some sort of, I guess, like methadone for heroin.
Yes.
So is that basically the way you all work it, or?
So we work with providers that do that.
Okay.
And so what we do is we identify what the needs are for that individual, and we connect them. And so to answer one of the questions that you posed was like on this idea of taking a drug to get off a drug. It ties back to what I mentioned earlier, shared earlier with you. The chemical breakdown or like composition of each person is different. And so for some, they need a medication to be able to live a productive life. So consider someone who inherits high cholesterol, high blood pressure. We don't fault them. It's in their genes. We know that they need that medication to keep the cholesterol level low.
Or diabetes and stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is the same premise. Everybody is different. And so some have tried and they fail because they don't believe in taking any kind of medication. They feel like, no, I don't have a problem. I don't need anything. But it could be that for them, they need a medication. And so part of what we do is we help people understand, like, there's so many options, and unless you try something different, when you know something's not working and you keep going back to the same thing, don't expect different results.
Yeah.
So we work with them to explore different options until they find something that works for them. So we've had resistance, even within our recovery coaching community. There are some who feel like if you have to take a medication, you're not in recovery.
Yeah, it seems like they're becoming dependent on something else to get away from a dependency.
Yes.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and so we have to educate and break down the stigma of this, because at the end of the day, it is a medication. It does not have the same effect as them taking meth or taking an opioid. It has what it does is the receptor or the chemistry misfunction that's happening, it helps to fix that for them so that they're able to, and there's some that are weaned off of the medication-assisted treatment medications, and there's some that can't. They've tried and they end up, they know this. And so it's like with any chronic health condition. We try different things, like if you are diagnosed with diabetes and your doctor says, like, eat right and exercise and it'll manage your sugar levels. You try that. It didn't work. Either maybe you did everything right, maybe you didn't. It didn't work. And so then they start with, let's start you on a pill and see how you do with that. Mm-hmm. And so there's different medications to treat that chronic health condition. It's the same with substances. It depending on what the person is struggling with. There are medications for tobacco. There are medications for methadone.
Yeah, they've got those patches for the cigarettes.
Yeah.
Out of all the people that, like, if you go to your outpatient, which means you go in at 9 a.m., you go through what classes? Do you go through, or they give you medication? Do you have to do any type of, 12-step program, or do you do any type of sitting down and group sessions and talking? And what's the basic structure of the day there at?
So for our treatment services, we've got different options, and so we do have evening groups because most people work, during the day.
Okay.
And so the groups are held in the evenings on Mondays and Wednesdays for one of the programs, and then for another program, they do have some day group sessions that are available, and then individuals are scheduled based on the person's availability. So there are weekend sessions, like one of our counselors, like they're booked back to back on Saturdays. And so we try and fit the scheduled needs of our clients. But yeah, so it's a combination of individual sessions and group sessions, and that the reason for the individuals is because you're not going to have the same goals as someone else. And so for group, there are common key points that are shared. So it's part education, parts peer support. Everything's facilitated. It's meant to give a setting or an opportunity for those who are looking to either maintain or seek their recovery. It gives them a place. And it's the same with our recovery support groups. There's groups and there's one-to-ones. Some prefer the one-to-ones. And as I mentioned, once they try group, they find the benefit of that peer support. We also offer recovery support services off-site. So for anyone who's not able, they have transportation problems, or like I get out at 5 and my kids get home like right after, and so I'm not going to be able to make it out. We have recovery coaches that will meet in a public place if they're uncomfortable with having someone in their home, because not everybody's okay with a home visit. Yeah. So our recovery coaches are able to do that.
Are these coaches like licensed chemical dependence counselors, or what are they?
They're not counselors. They are individuals in recovery who have gone through intensive training to understand that, to learn about the different pathways to recovery. And so we incorporate AA. So like we'll host AA meetings.
Okay.
There. Yeah, that's one pathway. And so we've got many who have multiple pathways of recovery. So they go to AA, but they're also doing our support groups. We do socials to help also relearn how to have fun without substances.
Yeah.
And so those are things that are unique, but it's something that we have found like it's difficult for some, because they've never, ever had, quote unquote, had fun without
drugs,
without
or alcohol.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So you sit around, you hang out, you laugh, and you say, "Hey, we're having a good time. We don't even have alcohol or drugs."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they learn how to have fun, how to be part of their family or be present. I think it's lost.
But it's tough, like if their family they have drinking, because the thing about it is some are normal drinkers and some aren't, and I'm not a normal drinker. And I remember when I got out of rehab, one of the main rules is, change your playmates and your playgrounds. And so obviously I couldn't be hanging out at bars. I couldn't be hanging out with my buddies that like to drink. I had to really, put myself through the program, meetings, connections with the people that are in recovery as well. I was always the type to go to the AA meeting, and then I'd hear a guy go, "My name is Bob, and I've been sober since November 3rd, 1986. And I'm like, okay, that's the guy I need to talk to, because he's been around and you can't bullshit him, And I'm a real manipulative person when I'm drinking and when I was leading a double life. So I ended up, working the steps, going to the meetings after I got out of rehab, and eventually chairing the meetings and in their service, hey, when you come in and you're barely starting out, sit down, be quiet, listen to the people, and then share later on, or share if you want a little bit. and then come in and do some service, to make the coffee, throw the trash, clean up. So it becomes, where, it's something that it's different than what we're used to,
Yeah.
and it becomes routine. So it got to the point where I can, I'm 18 years out, but I still don't hang out at the bars. I don't go play pool anymore. I like to, stay home. If I do go to a bar, it's because my band's playing, or I'm just gonna, it's work.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm done, I'm out. But they used to tell me, like, an alcoholic at a bar is like a diabetic at a bakery. You're gonna end up getting. So there's certain things that I've learned that have taught me to, and then the triggers. Another thing that I learned was relapse isn't when you take the first drink; it's when you start thinking about taking a drink. And how it becomes a necessity, where I'm like, necesito un pase, necesito un pisto or something. So there's certain little things that, you can be looking out for, but it works with time. Do you, after the outpatient program, is that a 30-day thing, or how long does it take to go through an outpatient program, which means you go in and then you can leave, so you're not locked up in I needed to get locked up. I mean, I couldn't, because I had tried that before. I did the outpatient. I'd get there at 9:30 in the morning at Charter Palms, and then I'd leave at 5 in the afternoon, and I'd just go right back to where I was, So it was really tough for me, and I was younger. So granted, it's kind of tough when you're a little bit younger because you feel invincible, But so how does that work?
So for hours, oh gosh, they're going to get me for this because I don't remember, but the timing of it is dependent on what the individual needs. And it's not like you go and you hang out there all day. Everything is focused in, either you're in group or you're doing an individual.
Yes, but is it like 30 days, or is it?
No, because what we do is it's spaced out. So it's twice a week.
Okay.
And so you're looking at minimum like a month and a half, so 45 days. That's your minimum. But you're coming in twice a week for group, and you're coming in once a week for individuals.
Yeah.
So it's meant to help navigate, so you get knowledge, you learn skills, and then you're given like basically homework, you apply it. So imagine this, you're like, and again, this is all based on the screenings that are done, because if someone isn't able, like they need to go through detox, they need inpatient, that's the first step. Once they get through that, and that's with another provider, so depending on what insurance, financial resources, we figure that out for people.
Yeah.
But once they get out of that, our recovery coaches are keeping in touch. So once they get out, they let them know, hey, we have outpatient and we have recovery. Like, you can be doing both, you can choose one or the other, but we recommend continue, because it's not like you go through inpatient, you go through detox and you're fine. There's a lot of skills that can be learned that will help strengthen the individual, empower them. And there's opportunities that they're able to be a part of. So like with our recovery coaches, some of them were participants, and they saw the benefits and just the empowerment of being of service to others. And so they said, hey, I want to be a recovery coach. So we basically made the training available for them. There are hours that they need to complete, because it's a state certification, so it's not just like...
It's like becoming a licensed chemical dependence counselor.
Without the counseling. Yeah, because, our licensed chemical dependency counselors, their focus is treatment. Our recovery coaches are coming from...
mentoring.
Yeah, it's a peer perspective. So it's also hard.
It's like having a sponsor, and right? Or
they're like a sponsor plus more, because like, say you get into legal problems, They can accompany you. They can advocate. They can help navigate you through that system. Say you had a lapse and you're not like quite sure like how is this all going to come together? Like maybe you had a lapse because the person you're living with or your home environment that's
a mess.
No, seriously.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I remember talking to kids and telling them, hey, when you go home, listen to your mom, dad, and then I'm like, I have no idea what their home
is.
environment is. Do they live in a gang infested neighborhood? That's drugs are prevalent, and the parents, are they as lost as he is, or so it's really tough. I mean, when you have a young person that has to go and live through that type of environment, it's really, really tough to get him out.
Yeah, and so what recovery coaches do,
but it's possible.
It
right?
is. No, for sure.
Yes.
And the thing is that they don't have to do it alone. Our recovery coaches have helped people find housing. I hope and pray that we have recovery housing in the Valley sooner rather than later. It's a huge need. It is like we have so many that come in that are involved with the criminal justice system that, it's like I have nowhere else to go but where I was like basically pushed into substance use. And so it's big. It's a heavy thing. It's like, you're told don't, change your environment, change who you hang out with.
It's not that easy sometimes.
It is not easy at all, especially when the resources don't exist.
Do you, I was going to ask you about it. Do you get a lot of court appointed, individuals that the court sends to you also? So
we have two programs. One works with specialty courts. Some of them are drug courts. And so it's, again, we're looking at a peer-based model so that, we're trying to remove judgment and stigma. And so we have one program that's for those that are involved in a court system. We have one that's for reentry. So someone who may be currently in jail or prison and will soon be released or has recently been released can connect and have support there. And again, there's a counseling and then there's a recovery coach. The recovery coach goes with them to court, goes with them to handle and navigate the legal process. Because we've had really good success. I have to say that in Hidalgo County, we've had a lot of support from probation, from the drug courts, the specialty courts. They want to help. They want to see the individuals that are in their system not come back. And so it's also about helping our clients understand, like, they're not the bad guys. They do want better for you. They do want you to succeed. It's just they don't have the resources to be able to spend the time or show them. And so through peers, through recovery coaches who've lived through that, who have that experience, they're able to, they're more open to listening because where I'm coming from, And so we also have another program that is general population. We see all walks of life. Drugs do not care what your socioeconomic status is.
Oh, no way.
It does not matter what your upbringing is. Everyone.
Rich, poor.
Exactly.
All skin colors.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
And everyone, if you take the time to talk to the people in your life, you will find someone struggling with substance use or mental health.
Yeah.
The problem is that we don't talk about it. We don't bring it up. And most of it is not because we don't care, but because we don't know what to do. And so that's one of the reasons I'm grateful that you asked for this talk, because most people don't know. Like, we've been around for a long time. Our services are free, but it's the stigma that's tied to the work that we do. It's, the judgment that gets placed. Like, we need to work to remove that because, again, everybody's impacted.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at some statistics. An estimated 49 million Americans are involved with substance abuse. Yeah. Approximately 27 million Americans are drug addicts. In fiscal year 2025, the federal government spends $46 billion to fight the drug problem. According to the latest statistics, we have about 86,000 Americans die from overdoses every year, and 178,000 Americans die from excessive drinking a year. I've lost a lot of friends already from alcoholism in their 50s. I've learned that the guys that didn't stop, that kept partying like I used to, they're gone. They don't make it. I'll be 60 next year, and a lot of my friends didn't make it out, and so and they died a horrible death. I mean, their liver cirrhosis,
Painful.
very painful, and then they leave their daughters, their grandkids behind. It's a sad situation, and I always tell people it's never too late to change your life, and I did that 18 years ago for the second time, but I learned from the first time that it doesn't go away. The addiction, the addict never stops being an addict, and so every day it's like I think about certain situations in my life, and I think about how great life is without what I was doing. And so when I talk to people like you, it reminds me that there's still a lot of people struggling out there. And I want to open my platforms to show people that there's a way to go get some help. But you really have to want it. I mean, it's really tough. Like I've seen a lot of court-appointed people that have to go because of the court, and they just go get their paper signed, and they're not ready. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to, change your life, you can, but you have to want it. And it's really tough when the parents are trying to get their kid sober, because the kid has to want it as well, right?
Well, so one thing I can say is this, that even if you're just thinking of it, come and get help, because we don't care how many times people come. We want them to be ready, but some cannot get ready by themselves. And that's why we have the recovery coaches that are going to help them.
And you know what? Once you go through some sort of program, it's never the same when you party.
It's not.
You still like, man,
there are seeds that get planted.
And I remember them telling me, you know what? You stopped for 2 years. During my first 2 years, they'd say, if you drink again, if you get high again, it's not gonna be as much fun as it was before you tried to get some recovery. And it was true. It was a disaster for me. And so, but I had to learn, because my ego, you know what? I'm going to show you that I can control my shit, and I got, and I had to go test the waters and find out for myself. I'm the type that has to pull the TV until it hits me on the head. But fortunately, it hit me on the head, and I never went back. Well, as of today, I haven't gone back. So, well,
but for the kids, yes. Unfortunately, we cannot force, like whether you're a kid or an adult, we can't force anyone into treatment, into recovery. They need to show up, and they need to give consent for that care. And so a lot of, we help parents as well, help them understand how not to enable, how to stay strong for themselves. There's been so many experiences, and it's heart-wrenching, because you see the love that the family has for that person who's struggling, but they don't see it,
and they don't know. They're bewildered. Why can't he stop? It's really crazy.
Yeah, and so what we do is we try and help educate on some of the chemistry that happens behind,
the imbalances and all that.
Yes, because we don't know what is causing this. We don't know whether it is that chemical. It's a genetic thing. We don't know, and we don't have the resources to test for that. So what we do is look, this is a lot of what happens. This is the science behind it. This is what you can do to safeguard yourself and your loved one. And so helping them understand that the tough love approach is hard, but at times, there are some that do well with that. And so
with the interventions.
Yes. Yeah. So what does that look like for you? And so it's a unique situation for each person and each family. It looks different. And it's not easy for anyone. not for the family trying to get help for their loved one, and not for that loved one that's in it. It's not easy for anyone. And I think that brings me back to it. No one's alone in it. Like, we choose to carry things on our own, and it just makes it harder, and it makes the pathway or the journey to recovery a lot harder. And so we have gone through, we've been in this for so long. We've seen just how awesome things can change. I have so many stories. There's a kid who was in our youth recovery, which, by the way, we lost. Funding is important, guys. But he was in our youth recovery, he started early. I think he was about 9 or 10 when he started, and he was forced by the school to come to our program. And so he thought like the same. I'm just going to go, not listen, get the heck out of there. And our recovery coaches allowed him to be him, and they did their thing. We introduced different like skills development, just different things. And one of the things that helped immensely was we had a boxing gym that had opened up not far from us, and they came and they said, anytime y'all need anything, like, we'll help out. So our recovery coach is like, hey, well, can you do some lessons for our kids? And the gym owner was like, yeah, sure, not a problem. And this kid took to it and excelled in it and understood, like, if I choose to go back to these drugs, I'm going to miss out on this. And he worked on his recovery. And so he's thriving. And so it's
awesome.
amazing. Like, he's just one story. We had so many kids that never ever thought they would go to college, never ever saw a future that didn't involve drugs. Either they were going to sell it or still, dabble in it. Man, we got some kids into Ivy League schools, like, beyond real.
It's interesting because
amazing.
we're a good people, and we're smart,
very smart,
but we have a problem. We have an addiction, and we have to learn about how to maintain it and stay clean and sober and have a straight mind, and that way we can excel and succeed. But
and thrive. And I think that when judgment gets placed and all people see is a person who has a drug addiction, we lose out. Our whole society, our whole community loses out, because we're writing someone off that has so much more to them and so much that they can offer. And that's why I so strongly believe in what I do, because I've seen it. I've seen it.
I tell people, like, guys that are trying to clean up, I tell them, man, you know what? You have the opportunity to help others. And that's the best high you could ever get, better than any drug. But Monica, I appreciate you coming over.
Thank you.
Behavioral Health Solutions. We've got the number there on the bottom of the screen. We've got the website. Just give them a call and, get some help if you need it. Doors are always open, and I appreciate you, Monica, for coming on by, all right?
Thank you so much.
All right. #PVT. Stay clean.